Greetings, magical mages and spiritual sages. Welcome to all those who are listening to Age of the Mage podcast. We're on episode 32. I'd like to talk about the concept of ascension today, and it is commonly referred to under that name in our times right now, but I believe it's been a concept that has been around a long time and may be called by various names. But right now we have wonderful, wonderful people who have come here to help humanity, I believe, through some of their connections to other races and other races and other species that are perhaps interdimensional or extraterrestrial. And these wonderful star seeds and light workers can feel the presence of their soul families, their star families. Many of them are able to access communications with their past families and current connections and give us those messages. And what a blessing we have to have these people among us. And of course, it's one group that's here working for the benefit of mankind. And I know there are many, many others. But the word ascension has really been linked quite a bit to this group of people, the hybrids, the starseeds, and those that feel such strong connections to extraterrestrial races and have been getting information really for the past 50, 60 years about a process for humanity, that the whole earth, along with her species, is going to ascend or rise in dimension, rise up in vibrations, and almost take on a new form in a way, because it will be perhaps less dense, and different types of things will occur as we ascend and as we move through the various dimensions. And most of us are familiar with a phrase, we live in a 3D world, 3D standing for three dimensions. And so part of the terminology that goes along with ascension is that we're moving from a 3D into 5D, I guess kind of passing through 4D and arriving at this 5D, fifth dimensional state, which is pretty much, it's represented as more peaceful, more benevolent, better for us, and that new insights, new types of inspiration will come into us as humans, and this will take hold, and we'll start seeing some unique and different kinds of guiding principles for our species, for our race, and for our planet. So it's generally viewed as a very good thing. So this is just an overview. By no means do I know I am not encompassing all the many details and all the beautiful messages that have been shared regarding the ideas of ascension. But I do want to just deal with this simpler concept for today's podcast, because I'd like to, all of us ask ourselves a few questions, like, are we on the path to ascension? And many believe that we are, and as individuals believe that they are. And rightfully so, most likely, that we know we're living in certain ways with certain goals and certain dreams for our planet and our people, and that is leading us towards the evolution that will help us all ascend or rise in vibration and acquire different aspects of the spirit that we need to live in different ways, more peacefully, no wars, and discover healing technologies that we need to be able to use and things like this. But I have to stop and think now. Sometimes it can get easy for us to get focusing on a reality that's not quite here yet, or a reality that from the past, an alternative sort of dimension. And we can do that so much that we tend to block out our current dimension, our current needs, and our actual level of reality at the current time. And so I wanted to address this a little bit. I feel that in order to truly be on a path as an individual, moving in onto the most beneficial timeline, and perhaps use the terminology ascension, I feel that we need to be living as closely to some of those principles as we can, because this forms the alignment, and this helps us actually find that path and find that timeline when we're living in alignment with the principles that that timeline represents, and that the timeline houses, and that the whole sphere of ascension, that whole conceptual dimension holds within it. And we need to be aligned with these principles, I believe, in order to truly be on a path towards achieving our full ascension, or a vibrational shift, or whatever terminology you prefer, perhaps merging with the better of the timelines, however you'd like to see this. And this does require, I believe, opening our eyes and seeing where we are at the moment. There is a lot of unfortunate events going on in the world, and they have been for a very long time. And we have been blind to many of these events, not due to our own fault, but purposely things have been hidden from us. And we have been manipulated to believe certain stories and believe different narratives about the way the world works. And this is kind of breaking down right now. I believe it goes along with the spirit of the timelines diverging from each other, and the choices humans need to make about what kind of world they want to be living in. So I believe this is completely appropriate for us to have truth breaking through the ground and rising up and showing itself. And of course, we've talked before about how when this happens, you get the opposing forces coming up as well. So the more truth tries to emerge, the more we get cover-ups, and the more we get misinformation, the more we get the opposite of truth, different forms of deception, trying to cover that truth up. These two forces are at odds with each other right now. And I think we're feeling that as humans all the way around the world, in everywhere. So we're all getting enlightened, actually. We're the very word itself, light is shining onto dark spots that we have needed to be aware of for many, many years, and maybe haven't been. And so to me, in order to reach these higher states that we are striving for, and that this audience certainly can attain, I feel that we have to open our eyes right here and now and be willing to see the dark, so that we can contribute to shining a light on this darkness and improving our world right here and right now. Because I don't believe, as an entire planet or species, we could be ready for ascension as a collective if we are still allowing many of the atrocities and many of the types of enslavement that is happening to still continue to happen. As a human race, we need to say no more. We need to take this stand. Now, this is my thought, that if we do this as a collective, it will bump us onto the right timeline, and it will project us into phases of ascension. So this leads to the question of how can we help, or how can we, as kind of small individuals, kind of drops in an ocean, how can we help with this large scale project? And I believe it has to do with our individual space, because our vibrations, our energy is highly contagious. It's expansive, and it knows no bounds. Our etheric energies, our souls, our connections, spiritually, magically, these are not constrained by time or space or distance. These are our thoughts, and our energy goes out into a web, if you will, of connectedness, and affects the entire web along its route of travel. Wherever we send or direct energy, everything is touched by that. Besides the target itself, if we're trying to send healing energy to someone, not only is that person perhaps affected, but we may affect the whole path along the route that energy takes. Some of this is unknown to us, and we're in a place of investigating it and really enjoying the mysteries that go along with these types of energy work. But it's very likely that that energy is felt throughout the entire web of existence. So whatever we do put out is affecting our reality, is affecting our current state of affairs. And so I think that the place to start is definitely right back where we are with ourselves. And in my case, I won't be able probably to be out and about and leading protests or holding a political office or anything that directly touches some of the issues that many of us would like to see go in the best way possible for humanity. So I am one of these people that needs to look at how I can be effective. How can I help? How can I contribute? And it comes back to me, to you, to all of us as individuals. And I have been giving so much thought to this, and I believe that it starts with what we let our minds think about, where we let our emotions go, what we connect ourselves to, how we, the exchanges we choose to allow into our lives. Now, this is where there are attitudes, and it's understandable. Even I have to pull away and not drown in the darkness that is out there. But many have a feeling like I can't even look at that. If I look at that bad stuff that's happening over there, it's going to dampen my energy. It's going to bring my vibrations down. And of course, there's truth in this because you are exchanging and connecting at every energetic level, whether you're watching a movie or you're watching a video or you're listening to a podcast, or you have formed and allowed a connection to come into your energy space. So that's very true. However, if we don't become informed, if we won't allow our minds to know what they need to know from a knowledge standpoint, then we may be part of the problem. We may be a block to our own ascension or the ascension of the collective in a way, because we have a beautiful, magnificent, divine world that we're currently living in. And isn't it up to us, really, to determine what we allow to be happening in this world? Isn't it up to us if we believe in freedom, for example, isn't it up to us to seek out every way we can to help our fellow uh, travelers on this plane achieve their freedom too? And if we are not informed correctly, if we are blind to the issues that really are quite daunting to many, many people around the world and very serious to many, then we cannot reach out in some ways and help that. We can't help those people that need our help if we don't know they're there. So by no means am I suggesting that you drown yourself in negativity and watch so many things and such dark stories that you become, at a low, you sink yourself to such a low vibration that you can't pull back out. By no means am I suggesting that, but I am suggesting that we use everything we have been given right here and right now. Our brains, our critical thinking, our ability to recognize truth from lies, our voice when it's possible. Sometimes we cannot voice our thoughts because of resistance, I understand. But if we can't do these things right now in our own personal lives and our personal spheres, why do we believe that we're actually going to ascend? We would be skipping an awful lot of steps, because ascension demands, if I understand this right, it demands from us it demands an alignment with the type of living that occurs after ascension. It demands the knowledge and the wisdom that goes with it, that we need that in order to achieve it. So I believe that our time to work with ourselves so that we can achieve this magnificent uplift in vibration and dimension, I believe it's right here and it's right now, and it's asking us, to each of us, it's inviting us to come. And we need to be brave enough, courageous enough to remember that it starts right now, here, right here. It starts with what we can see and what we need to research and what we need to be aware of. And even us each taking upon ourselves, at the very least, responsibility for our own personal sphere of energy. Because if we do nothing else but that, it will be powerful. We will affect all those who come in contact with us. We will affect the web in general. And the more we dwell in a sphere that is enlightened, which means has knowledge, is not blind, is willing to seek out truth, is courageous. When we live in that sphere currently in the 3D world, it aligns us with the upper, higher dimensional spheres that support that energy. And it will also align us with the timeline that supports that energy. If we don't start living in a sphere of ascension already, by becoming knowledgeable, by using our critical thinking, by developing our intuition, our magical spiritual abilities, and by doing this right now, how do we expect to feel aligned or recognize if we are resonating with something that is ascension? Because truthfully, it would feel foreign to us. Not only could we not accept it, we would feel like, gee, someone's, taking their fingernails down a chalkboard here. I really can't stay here very long, because our vibrational makeup would be out of sync with that. So now is the time, right here, right now, in your body, fully present, to be establishing your own personal sphere of ascension. For those, and other terms would be like, establish that personal sphere that aligns with the timeline you prefer. You need to do it. We need to do this now, and not look to a future time and think we're just going to leap over to it easily, or look, escapism, maybe to past times or parallel dimensions. I know there are so many dimensions out there that many of us would prefer to be living in, because they are already free of war. They're already free of pain. They're already free of enslavement. And we long for that in our hearts and our minds. We long to see that type of civilization living on our planet, being here with us. So it is easy to kind of project ourselves to a spot that we're really not perhaps ready for as a whole. Many of us as individuals are certainly ready for such a reality. So I would just leave this short message with you today, that it's really worth considering that our current life is a gift. And rather than try to escape it or project that it will change magically, if we try living in it, and we really do establish our own etheric energy fields through our thoughts, through our spiritual inclinations, whatever they may be, through our magical practice and work, whatever those things are. Each one of you is so unique, and you do this all so differently, and that's all right. But when you have power over that personal field, and if we're not using that power, we need to realize, how could we have power over more than that field if we're not even using the power we do have? So it's very important, very critical, to realize the value of this field that you get to control and that you get to learn about and work with, because that field is everything. That is your connection to all the secrets of your soul. And it's the connection to all the outside world, all the inside worlds. That's it. It's all right here. It's sitting right around you right now. And so if we're pro-freedom and we want to move away from enslavement, we have to bring that into the field. We have to start discerning situations we might observe where free speech is being limited, or where personal freedoms are being limited when they shouldn't be, so on and so forth. We have to start discerning these things and taking some time to look at them and bring the actual vibration of what we would prefer to see into this field so that we actually resonate stronger and stronger and stronger with those things that we claim to support, that we claim to resonate with. We're out of alignment if we make claims and we say we believe something, but we're not taking the time as magicians, as spiritual workers, as starseeds, as those on paths towards ascension. Above all, it's us that should be taking the time to make sure our personal fields align with our words. This will give us so much power. This will give you so much personal strength in your life. And it will contribute to the web in ways we cannot even yet imagine. Each little node of light that we are on this massive etheric network affects everything around us. And each time a light gets brighter and more in tune and more aligned, it sends energy waves like ripples out from it. So we hold a great deal of power in our very present moment, in our very present, our lives, our sometimes lives that seem ordinary. They seem innocuous, and maybe we feel, I'm impotent, I really can't do that much. Oh no, that is not the case. We have within our reach all the tools we need to change this part, us. And this is where it all begins. And it catches, it's contagious. It's amazing. And we can do this. And this would be my encouragement for today. When we think of words like ascension, timeline, alignment, higher dimensions, let's start with the here and now. And that will be our bridge to those places. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate every single one of you. And thank you, many thanks to those of you taking the time to share a positive comment with me. It means more than you'll ever know. I appreciate it so much. I wish you the very best, and I will return soon, and I will say bye for now.